Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and today we're talking about a game engine that has come a very long way with a very circuitous journey to get there. This started life as CryEngine, was licensed by Amazon, was released as Lumberyard. It is now an open source project called O3DE. Now, O3DE was almost a complete rewrite of the whole thing, and you can think of this as aiming to be a open source AAA style game engine. Now, they still got some work to do, but they've done a lot of improvements, and I'm going to actually do something today that I have never dared to do in the past. So I'm actually going to show you a project from the very beginning. And this has always been where the tool has kind of struggled a bit, but now setting things up, super simple. Now, you saw earlier on, this is a 23.05. The newest release was just released a couple days back. You can see a sample game running right now. I would recommend actually checking this one out as your starting point. I will show you where you can get the Planet Survival game at the very end of this video, but you get an idea of how things all work together. You got this full editing environment, like you see right here. You can go ahead and test and run your game super fast. You see right here, let's go ahead and play our game. Boom, we're started up and ready to go. This is a turn-based style of game, so you can see over here, UI layer, AI is going to kick in over there. So that kind of gives you an idea of what this actually looks like to run it, and hit escape to get out of there. So that is your simple game. Now, you saw your character is over here. Let's go ahead and select main character, and you're going to see this is a component-driven game engine. So you got things like a transform component. Almost everything's going to have a transform component. This one has an actor attached to it, also materials assigned to it, input handling, animation graphs, detour navigation component, script canvas, physics, and so on. So this thing's got all the stuff you'd expect from a main character, physics-driven with logic and so on. Your animations, you can see here, you've got things like animation editors, like this guy right here for going between different animation states. All the tooling you would expect from a full-blooded game engine. On top of that, we have, in this case, we are using script canvas for our programming option. Script canvas looks like this. It's kind of like blueprints. Everything behind the scenes, it uses like this bus-based event system, and you can use a combination of C++, Lua, and this script canvas if you wish to do so. If you don't want to do visual programming at all, you do not have to, but this gives you an idea of what it actually looks like. Again, I will show you a very simple example of Lua and script canvas for just debugging to the screen, for example, so you get an idea how the workflow works, but this is a more complicated example. And yeah, that, ladies and gentlemen, is O3DE. Now, specifically, we're talking about today because 26.05 was just released, and there's a bunch new to this particular release, but I'm going to focus on one thing in particular, and that is the added stability. So let's go here, let's shut that one down. And again, I'm going to do something very brave here, and I'm going to create a new project. So as you can see, not perfect, still some bugs at times, but let's go ahead and create a new project right here. We got our pop-up here, so my hopeful demo. And it's going to go ahead and create it. You can now pick a basic place to start from. It's also being used for robotics also if you're interested. So I'm going to go ahead. We'll go with default, and you can see all of these gems are included. Now, gems are like the add-on system here. And the key thing here is, so the extensions and so on. What they've done is they've made this gem system work so much better than it used to. Now, another big thing that they've got here is this was from a previous release, but they added something called mini audio. Before, you needed to use Fmod if you want to do any audio in it. Now it's got its own little built-in audio system, makes it so much easier for indie developers to get set up with. Now, the problem is they also required you to use something called Popcorn for particle systems, which was always a bit of a pain. So you needed to use these external programs to take advantage of this. Well, the nice news is if you come in here now and you search for Open Particle System, this is now available. So this will give you particle systems for your project, which is a very cool thing, something that was definitely missing up until this release. Now, I do got to point out, this is considered experimental, so there is a warning there. It is preview, so it's not going to be the most stable thing you've ever seen, but there we go. We've added a gem into our project, and let's go ahead and create our project. And then boom, it's done. So now we have our new project right here. Next thing you need to do is just go ahead and build it now. Now, the one thing you're going to want to know, you still behind the scenes need to have Visual Studio installed. So you might have a little bit of a headache getting your workflow up and running if you do not have the proper workflows installed for Visual Studio. That's still an area where you might have a little bit of pain running with this. But as you've seen, if you've ever used O3D in the past to create a new project, you know it isn't this clean and fast normally. Like this whole process, especially when you add in those gems or those extensions to it, generally that's where you start running into problems. But in this particular case, the only problem we saw was a tooltip malfunction. And that is, I think, because I maximized the window. If I kept it at the default, it would have worked properly in that particular case. The thing is, we're now, my hopeful demo is ready, and then boom, go ahead and open it up. So that literally is all that is involved in getting up and running now. That is so much smoother than it used to be. By the way, this is also now available for Linux in addition to Windows. That's been for a few versions now. It's actually the Linux Foundation that run the O3DE project these days, so that is an improvement. So you see here, we've got the asset processor working. The asset processor still takes some time. There's some improvements there. There's a new generic asset processor in place now, but you can see here it's got to run through all of these particular things. Now, those take a little bit of time, so not a long time. So you can see it's counting down right here, but I'll pause until it's done. Okay, about 3 minutes, 4 minutes later, again, the asset processing does take some time. Here is our empty level. Go ahead, open that one up, default level, and we've got a couple more jobs that are running down here. Again, it's asset processing that you definitely take some time on. And presto, here we are in our starter level, like so. So you see here, you got a little shader ball going on over there. I believe it's Z to frame something like so. And then you're gonna notice there are all kinds of components that can be added to a particular object. So if we're gonna use this poor shader ball as our example here, go ahead and add our new component in. And then the big thing here is now we do have these particle systems available. So I'm gonna add a particle system to this guy right there. I'm gonna need an asset to hook into that. So let's go into my assets over here. Let's go to the asset folder, right click and create, and now we're going to create a new particle system. Sure, my particles, like so. So this is the brand new functionality that they just added in, a full-blown particle editor that is available right here. There is quite a bit, so each thing, so you can, your emitter, so you can do the maximum number of particles, the spawn delay, so on, how particles spawn, you can have burst limits and so on. You can set the shape of them, a point, a box, and so on. Of course, you can set the color of the particle, so let's go here, check the color, and then make the color, oh, it's a range, all right. So let's go from red to white. All right, there. So you see there is our color range and so on. And then you can even set up events that will fire for various different stages of your particle system. That's it. So you got this new straightforward particle system editor that is available there. So now that I've got my particle system available, let's go here to the shader ball. Our particle system, let's drop that into the asset over here, and then boom, we now have the ability to evoke particles. Now the reason, again, this is a big deal is this was core functionality that was missing before. You had to use an external tool to do particle systems here. They have finally addressed that. That, along with mini audio, makes it so you don't have these external dependencies. So now it's more like Godot or Unreal or Unity, where you don't need to download anything else to make it work. Everything you need is there. It's a small thing, but it's an important thing. It's definitely one of those aspects that was missing. Now, I did mention earlier on about the two different scripting options. The one is available as a gem. I think it was installed by default, but that is called Script Canvas. Let me make sure that that's actually here. Yeah, so Script Canvas, like so. We can add a Script Canvas to this person right there. There is our new Script Canvas. Let's go ahead and create a simple script. So you can see down here, Script Canvas and Script Canvas graph. Create it like so. I'm not sure which window that's going to pop up on. Oh, none. I got to go ahead and open it. That's one of those weird usability things. I think that it should automatically open up the editor when you create a new script, but obviously that comes down to personal preference or taste. So there is our blueprint-esque scripting thing. I can come in here. We can add something new. So what I want to do is add in a game entity like so. So let's drop that one. Oh, so I need to pick the thing. So unactivated. So boom, there is our entity. This is our self. It could be hooked up to something else, another object right there. And then so when this actually fires, we'll take our entity like so. And then I'm going to just do, I think it's debug. Debug log. Yeah, let me just do log. One sec. Okay, my bad. It's actually debug, like so, print. And I'm just going to do that. And then I'll say, hello from script. Yeah, canvas. like so. I don't know if that needs to be quoted or not. It doesn't really matter. So there you see, simple script canvas. Go ahead. We will save that out and run that in. So again, shader ball, select it. Again, I find that also is a little bit of a bug. Shader ball was already selected and highlighted over there, but you got to deselect it and reselect it to get the properties back up. So there's definitely some little kinks to work out still, but the performance, like the just general doneness of this, is so much better than it used to be. So there. Come on, that should have worked, but let me just go ahead and get it this way then. All right, so there, our script canvas is now attached. We could have passed variables into it and so on. And let's just focus on our console, and then let's just run our game. So boom. And then you see down at the bottom left corner, hello from script canvas. So that is the one way of programming using a visual style programming language. Your other option is using Lua. In that case, what we're going to do is basically just, again, create. And then here we can go ahead and say Lua script, like so. And sure, we'll call this my script. And then once again, double click it. There is a built-in Lua editor available for you. And now local my script equals, and then it's just like so, and then function my script. So it's a bunch of callbacks. We're just going to do on activate, like so. This is all documented, by the way. So debug.log hello from Lua, like so. And then we'll just end our function like that. And then finally export our script like that. So there is the process of creating a Lua script. Very straightforward. And then once again, let's go ahead and add that in. So let's go here, add scripting. Your other option is Lua script over here. This should be working. I don't know why drag and drop for my scripts isn't taking. Okay, that time it did take it. I don't know what the hell's going on there. But again, still some little things to work out. Let's save that one up. We'll go ahead and quickly run it and play it. And then boom. Okay, let's focus our console so you can actually see the result. Go ahead and play it. And there you can see hello from Lua and hello from script canvas. So that is the two processes of hooking up scripting. Now, I did mention earlier on that this is a C++ based game engine. And behind the scenes, there is a C project. But the cool thing here is if you want to go ahead and create a new component like this, all of these things you see right here, those are components. You want to write one of these things in C. It used to be a command line process, a bit of a pain in the butt. Now they've added new functionality in this form. So you can come in here and say new component, and now there is this this display window right here, and you can basically say my component. It will set up all the details for it. You can set, is it an editor component or a default component? Set the namespace for it, set where you want it to be, have it add it, and then you can add a license to it or whatever. And this will set up all of the header files, the CPP files, the build system, and so on. So next time you build your game, your skeleton of a component is going to be available there. So if you're working on the C++ side of things, it has become a lot easier to actually extend things and create your own components there as well. So some pretty cool stuff going on with this engine. Again, it's a little bit of glitches we saw in action, but it's way more polished than it has ever been. So they've made some really good strides there. If you're interested in checking it out, O3DE.org. We're going to go ahead and check out the release notes available right here. As you can see, this is available for Windows and Linux. Also, of course, you can download it from the source code. Let's go check out the release notes quickly. What you're going to find, highlights. Obviously, the big one here is the new particle system. This replaced the requirements to use, I think it was called popcorn effects, but they used to have to use an external tool for particle systems. Big deal that they've added that. Also, like I said, you can create C++ components directly from the editor, propagate activities through the entity hierarchy, builders for generic asset types. So now you can opt into automatic asset bundling, which includes dependency registration and binary converters for faster loading. It also has automatic LOD generation when you bring an FBX file in. We got extended display mapper. The sky atmosphere was moved to an external gem. It used to be built in. Now it's a gem that you can add in if you want to have dynamic sky atmosphere. PhysX 4 was deprecated because PhysX 5 is now the new norm. And then we got some stuff in the robotics side of things. If you are working with robotics or simulations, they're really strong there. Some tool chain fixes in the back end. And then bundled CMake is now the default. And then a whole bunch of smaller changes throughout, fixes, polishing, and so on. So definitely an improvement in that regard. Again, open source project, available up on GitHub. It is under the, where did you go, license? Okay, it's under the O3DE engine license. It is a version of the Apache license. So it's the Apache license. And a recognized a recognized open source license there. Yeah, I'm not sure why they didn't just put the Apache license in directly instead of doing it into license.txt. But anyways, that's what they've done. Also, if you're interested in checking out Planet Survival Game, was that demo that I showcased earlier on. Probably a good solid place if you want to see a robust project with, it's a turn-based game. It's got animations, it's got enemy players, it uses script canvas for the programming, and it runs. So that's the key thing about it. So if you want to go ahead and check that one out, that is available as well. If you like what he's done, drop him a star. So always helps to bring a little bit more exposure to these projects. So ladies and gentlemen, that is O3DE 26.05 is here. They do basically 2 releases a year. So this is the first one for 2026. And I'm curious, what do you think? Are you getting more excited about O3DE and where it's going? I do like the fact that they're finally building in these things that were missing. So again, the need to use Fmod and popcorn effects to do audio and particle systems was kind of a deal breaker for like someone looking for a turnkey solution. So I think those are both big. And again, stability, LOD generation, and so on. Some nice stuff in this release for sure. But I'm curious, what do you think? Let me know down below. I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.